just chasing gold. This game's ours, it's ours to hold. One shot left, one play to run. Make it count under the setting sun. It's game time grind. All or nothing on the line. Push through the pain. Leave it all in the rain. It's game time grind. Victory's ours to find. Victory's ours to find. It's game time grind. Victory's ours to find. Victory's ours to find. Victory's ours to find.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to a brand new episode of Game Time Grind. I'm your host, Ali the Persian, and we got Steve up in here. How's it going, Steve? How you been?
It's going. What's up?
What's up? Remind me of the guy that's the Jaguars head coach. Hey, Duval. That's what it reminded me of. Sorry, man. But anyway, make sure you hit the like buttons. Subscribe if you're brand new. Turn on the notification bell. We got a jam-packed show. We're going to be talking a lot about this national title game. We're going to be talking about transfers, stuff that's going on in the college world. Maybe some college coaches that might be jumping to the NFL. Keep an eye out. We might talk a little bit about that. But yeah. So before we get started, shout out to everybody in the chat. I see Michael K's already made his presence known. S. Jackson, Daniel Berry Sports. How you doing, sir? John Featherland, and Steve, you're in the chat too, man. You're multitasking. So what up, man? How is everything? How was your weekend?
It was good, man. Kind of chilled. More, after the holidays, have a nice calm weekend instead of going crazy and running around like we've been.
Yeah, man. I want to say since last Thursday, it's been crazy stuff going on in my life. A lot of stuff going on with family. People have been reaching out to me. Are you okay, man? And everything. And I'm okay. I got some personal things going on with my family that I got to take care of. Like I'm worried about, but overall, I'm okay. I'm trying to stay positive. I'm using college football, for example, as a drug to keep my mind off of it, so to speak. So that's what I'm kind of doing. But for those that reached out, thank you. I appreciate you guys. I said I would shout you guys out, and that's what I'm doing. But yeah, let's get into some of this transfer talk. It's been absolutely crazy with the news, to be 100% honest about it. There's been like people leaving Ohio State left and right. And they've been kind of slow footing their way in this transfer portal. More recently, we signed like a bunch of people. So now it kind of makes sense. But then you have teams like University of South Florida that's signing everybody and their mother. I want to say you guys have like how many commits this transfer portal? How many have signed with you guys?
I was just looking at that list as you were talking. We have actually, it's not as much as you would think.
To me, it's a lot.
It is actually 36.
36.
I was looking at we had five wide receivers alone.
Gotcha. Yeah, 36 people. I'm sorry, 36 receivers. You've gotten a bunch of wide receivers, which was very impressive. It just felt like every other day I saw a new recruit that you guys signed that committed. So very interesting. Also, give me an update on that stadium you guys are building. You guys have a new stadium over there, don't you?
Yep. I don't know when it's supposed to be done. I'm hoping in the next year or so. Would be nice to have done.
Yeah, it will be very interesting. We got 20 people watching live here on YouTube. Make sure that you guys hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. I see a lot more people on the X side. Come over from the X side, come over to YouTube, hang out with us, join the chat. Don't mind Michael K. He's kind of weird, but he's our token weird guy. So don't worry about him. Yeah, so it's been what up, Vamos? How you doing? So it's been very interesting of what's been going on as of late. In addition, big games happened this past week. You had Ole Miss versus the Miami Hurricanes, right? Oregon versus Indiana. And to be honest, the action didn't disappoint, right? For me, I want to let's start off with that Ole Miss Hurricane game, right? That's what a lot of people here want to talk about. So we'll start off there. I made the point in our preview show that the Ole Miss Miami game, if Ole Miss could keep it close, they had a shot. And boy, did they have a shot. This game did not go the way that a lot of Miami Hurricane fans thought it would. Right. It started off with, Miami taking, a 3-point lead. And then Ole Miss comes trotting right back with a touchdown. Right. Then Miami takes the lead. Then Ole Miss takes the lead back. It was kind of like a little bit of a back and forth. Right. Until the very end when, finally the Hurricanes were able to, seal the deal. And even some people will argue that the game ended in some, I don't want to say tragedy. I don't know if that's the right word. But it was kind of interesting. Like at the very end with the Hail Mary pass, there was some pass interference going on. That wasn't called. Rightfully, I get it. People say, well, they don't call it at the end of the game. Okay, I get it. But we've seen games that they have, right? So I don't know if that's fair or not. I'm not here to argue it. I will say that being the fact that Ole Miss had to piece together, a team still, they had to make sure they kept everybody and also piece together their coaching staff and everything for this playoff run. I'm very impressed. Even though they didn't win the game, I'm still impressed on what they were able to accomplish. What did you think of Ole Miss and their performance against the Hurricanes?
Not to what's the phrase? Toot my horn. But I think I was pretty close on the score on this one again.
Maybe.
I think I said it was going to be like 24-30 or something like that. It was going to be a close game, and I figured it would be. These were two teams that one was very offensive, one was very defensive, and it showed.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think it ultimately came down to a few one too many mistakes by Ole Miss, and good golly, this game could have got out of hand too, though. 4 dropped interceptions. 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was crazy. I couldn't believe there was some that was like a for sure pick 6 that could have happened and they dropped it. You know what I mean? It was very unlike that defense, to be honest. I guess I was kind of disappointed with some of the plays that the defense let go. You know what I mean? You told us about the running back that Ole Miss has. What's his name? Lowry, I think his name is. I apologize if I don't have that name correct. but he had like a huge run right up the middle. I want to say it was like a 55-yard run or something like that for a score early in the game. I was surprised how Miami let that just go. You know what I mean?
Lacey's who you're thinking about.
Lacey. Yes, Lacey. Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't have the name right.
Yep.
But that just surprised me. I was very disappointed with Miami's defense. I get it. You know, they still won the game. They were still, you know, making tackles or whatever. But I'll use this as an example. And I brought this up in the space, and I want your opinion now that we're here. You know, it's just you and I on this panel. Were you disappointed with Ruben Bain's performance? I know I was. And people were trying to tell me that, oh, well, he was, you know, double and triple teamed and everything. And that's why, you know, he didn't get to the players, or they were passing the ball out quick or whatever. Yeah, I've seen other teams do that and him still be able to get there, right? I'll argue that Ohio State's offensive line is better than Ole Miss's, and he was able to get through, you know, through Ohio State's. One solo tackle was what he put in. That's the performance that he put in during that game, the entire game. Nothing else. No tackles for loss, no sacks, nothing. One solo tackle. That's it. So I don't know. I was kind of disappointed by it. I know Nene and other people that you know in our community, the people that we speak to, are probably yelling or it's ringing in their ear that I'm talking about it. But the reality for me is, if you're that level of a player, you and I have heard conversations where Ruben Bain gets brought up as a top 5 player or even a top 10 player, right? We hear those conversations that he could go in the draft like that. In my opinion, you should have the ability to play out of whatever double teams that you're taking on, right? It shouldn't matter what you're facing. You should still be able to put in a solid performance. It was nowhere near a solid performance for me. What did you think?
I think that's exactly why I've been asking, and to my own fault. This is the first game since the playoffs started that I didn't ask the guys in the space, what's Ruben Bain got for me this weekend, as a certain Rashad would say about a certain GM. Mm-hmm. This is who this man has been. Again, like, this is why I keep asking. Like, I understand being doubled. I understand having that double mitigate you somewhat during a game. Mm-hmm. But Myles Garrett gets tripled every single week and it don't stop him. When you're one of those ones, it shouldn't stop you all game. Bain can set an edge. I think that'll be his specialty in the NFL. But you know who's also really good at setting edges? Cameron Good. Does anybody even know who that is off the Dolphins? Like, no one knows who the hell that is. But the reality is, that's what he does. He sets the edge and plays special teams. I think Ruben Bain will be a very good edge setter, but he's got to find the power to get past the double blocks. That was a complete letdown. Absolute letdown. Him and Mesidor were basically non-existent to a lesser offensive line.
Yep. I agree with you 100%. Steve, we have a special guest. It's not really a special guest. He's our panel celebrity, and he's fashionably late. So I figured I'd play some good what's the word I'm looking for? Some good solid intro music for him. What do you say? What do you think? That sounds like a good idea. I think I should. So here, I'm going to play this for him.
Yeah, it's that time. Mystic in the building. Turn that on. Mystic. Mystic in the building. scared of nothing. Mystic on the field, yeah, we came to crush him. Pass, pop, helmets clash. Whole squad hungry, ready to smash. Talk big talk, better back that breath. Mystic on your line, that's a promise of stress. Trash talk flying on the 50, say something. Hands in the air, whole section stay jumping. YouTube live in the hate, still watching. Click that play, see the king still clocking. That's the Mystic. First down, crowd goes stupid. Other side shook, they can't do this. Red zone looking like a crime scene fact. Scoreboard bleeding, they ain't never coming back. We laugh when they fold, keep the tape running. Rewind that hit, see the freight train coming. Mystic on top, that's the word, that's law. Say our name once, feel the bass in your jaw. Mystic.
What is up, Mystic? How you doing, man?
Man, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, and Steve, what's good, everyone? How we doing?
What is going on? Hey, Steven Mystic, hold it down for me 1 second.
Sounds good, man. I'm getting ready to order my, dinner. I decided to jump on here as soon as I got out of the meeting. So, what I missed? What's going on, Steve?
Actually, we were getting thoughts on the Hurricane no miss game. You were right on time for that.
Nice. What's funny is I think if we rewind back that last episode, I'm pretty sure that I picked the right final score, wrong teams. I was thinking about that the night after that game. I was like, wait a minute. I'm pretty sure that I called that final score, but I just had the teams wrong. So that's pretty cool. Honestly, what's interesting to me is Miami won a game that, some of their fans said, I guess I want to how to put these words together. I had Miami fans saying, well, Ole Miss ain't going to put points up on our defense like that. Well, they definitely put points up on that defense. Your offense decided to also capitalize and score some points too, and take Carson Beck had a huge drive when it mattered most. I don't know if we'll get that again though. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll definitely find out. Really, for me, and right now we're just really talking about the games that the semifinal games. So Ole Miss, Miami. That defense disappointed me with all the dropped interceptions that they could have had. Right. There was some poor tackling going on. Lacey was able to run it from like midfield, like crazy run. And then the whole, we were just talking about Ruben Bain and how he hasn't lived up to the hype that I heard about him in the beginning of the season. The beginning of the season was, this guy's a top 5 guy. This guy's going to be Miami's number 1 pick. This guy is going to be a top 10 kid. That's what I heard. And he ended up having just 1 solo tackle, no tackles for loss, no sacks, nothing, right? I could understand it if maybe you had a bad game, but I should see like more than just 1 solo tackle. That's basically kind of where I'm at with it. And people are saying, I've had Miami fans tell me, well, he just had a bad game, or they were triple teaming him. Regardless if he just had a bad game, I've seen bad games and it wasn't as bad as that. And number 2, if he's being double teamed, well, I'll even say triple teamed, I've seen players of less talent play out of that, right? And still somehow at least get to make the combination tackle. Even if he's letting yards go by, there should have been more than 1 solo tackle. And that was my point about Ruben Bain. What are your thoughts on that, Mystic? Mystic is probably placing his order.
Yeah, sorry, no. So I don't know, man. I hated hearing, again, a fan base saying that a guy had a bad game because he was getting held. when their tight ends over here, showing basically the shoulder pads of some of these defensive players, like every other play. Um,
Mhm.
it, Look, holding happens pretty much on every play. It's football. It's if you are within the frame and you do it right and you play technique, and then also on the other side, you're also taught. I'm pretty sure Jason Taylor, showing them some things. You're supposed to smash people's hands down. You're supposed to attack the hand grip to make sure they're not like, grabbing onto you to stop your, motion of what you're doing. Like, I don't know, man. I think it just came to the fact that they ran into a team that was, ready to have the task. They were up to the task. They got punched a couple of times, but they didn't just back down. These were dudes who were told they weren't supposed to be in that moment. They weren't supposed to be there. They were supposed to be out first college football playoff game. This whole thing because they don't have a coach. Like, these dudes are just playing for each other, just grit. And again, for people just to say all these other excuses, if you will, moving the goalposts on why they didn't have good games. I don't know if I agree with it. Maybe they are playing better talent, and when you go up in talent, sometimes you find out you're not who you thought you were.
Mm. Yeah, it's just really interesting to me. And I'll tell you, I'm going to incorporate why this is more important when we talk about the X factors of the Indiana Miami game, right? Because I kind of feel like I'm going to revisit this conversation in the show, and I want to bring up certain points. Um, Outside of that, were there any other things you wanted to point out with the Miami Ole Miss game at all?
You know, I think I do also want to point to, oh man, I want to point out the secondaries. And I want to point out when you had secondary, you had corners on Miami, they actually decided to stand up, make some plays. And, it did kind of stop the quarterback from Ole Miss from having, opportunities late. There was a corner on Ole Miss. That motherfucker, he probably couldn't cover a blade of grass if his life depended on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how the dude was still in the game. The dude got burnt. I can't tell you how many times in the second half. There was times that he was put in the spin cycle, falling down. Like, I don't know. I don't know when you're that quarterback of Ole Miss. I don't know what you're expecting when you're in your job at a high level against a really good defense and your corner on your side. The dude looks so bad. I don't even know how he wasn't pulled, man. If that's the end of their depth when it comes to the corner position for Ole Miss, get into that transfer portal, man, because that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is kind of ridiculous. Any thoughts that you had, Steve?
I did want to be again, like I don't want to just attack because they won this game. They won this game through physicality. They won this game through everything you need to win. What are they again? What's the old verbiage? Defenses win championships, right? This defense can absolutely win them a championship. And Carson Beck, though he's not, in my opinion, a great quarterback, he stepped up when it mattered. He stepped up when we want you to step up as a quarterback on fourth downs and in the fourth quarter, right? Third downs in fourth quarter. He showed up the final drive of the game. Were they saved by a pass interference on that drive? Yes. Did Carson Beck show up to seal the game? Absolutely. Play broke down, ran in the touchdown, did the things you're supposed to do to win the game, and he rode that defense's back all the way there. The interceptions, the turnovers created, and that running back, I forget his name. It just left. I was just thinking about it. But the UM's running back running hard nose for short yardage runs and keeping drives going. He broke out, I believe, a big run himself, if I remember correctly. Like all all props to UM. They are fighting like animals, and they deserve that win. I don't want to make it seem like we're saying they won by happenstance. They won through physicality and toughness. It's just that's who I think that team. If you could say they have an identity, that would be it.
Look, I agree with you. I do think they won through some physicality and toughness. I definitely agree. And I'm not taking anything away from Miami. I guess for me, it's like, as watching the Ohio State game and how dominating they were, I didn't see that domination against Ole Miss. And to be fair, and I hate to say this about Ole Miss because they played a hell of a game too, right? But Ole Miss, in my opinion, is really just a mid-tier SEC team. That's what they are. They're not at the top echelon of the SEC. In my opinion, it always will be Texas. If it's not Texas, it's going to be Georgia's, or it's going to be the Alabamas. It's going to be one of those three teams, right? And I just, Ole Miss has made, had a great season this season, but we've heard people say in the community, especially the Hurricane fans, made statements such as Miami has the best athletes and some of the best talent, player for player, in college football today, right? I got to experience that. My team lost. Fair enough. They dominated the game. They won when it mattered, right? I consider Ole Miss a lesser talented team. In parts of that game, I felt Miami was getting pushed around or not taking advantage of what they needed to, right? And for me, when you go up, and I wanted to save this take for then later in the show, but all I'm going to say about it, because I am going to save it actually, but I'm going to kind of give you a little tidbit on it. I think they have to come out with a different mindset against their next opponent. And I guess for me, that's why I'm like, cool, you guys won the game. Great. Congratulations. But now let's bring you down to reality and let's talk about what you need to do to win the next game. Because I think they have to approach this game differently. Any thoughts on that?
No, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. And Steve, solid points. I guess to kind of add to what he's saying, I wasn't trying to say in any way that they didn't win through physicality or take anything away from it. I was just trying to add, sometimes you're as strong as your weakest link, and Ole Miss's weakest link was that corner. And sometimes, again, to Miami's credit, when you're a good team, you attack weaknesses on a team, and that's all they do is attack the weaknesses. So strong, on their part. I'm with you, though. Trust me, I'm with you. I have my own assessment of what Miami needs to do to come out to beat this Indiana team. Indiana's been told they haven't been good enough all year, and that's why they're where they are. But we'll get to that soon.
Yeah. So it is what it is. Someone put in the chat, Notre Dame should be an ACC team. I kind of agree, but I also think they should be a Big Ten team also. So pick whichever division, conference they want, let them join it. So, but I don't think they belong in the SEC. I'll even argue that I feel like some Big 12 teams can beat up on them as well. I think if you're going to pick one for them, it would be either ACC or the Big Ten. Speaking of Notre Dame, going back to our transfer portal, just give a quick update. They just signed 2 big-time receivers. They got from Ohio State, both of their up and coming receivers, to be honest, Miles Graham, and they also got Quincy Porter. So they got some receivers over there. The question is, do they have a quarterback to throw to the receivers? So shout out to Notre Dame. Let's go on to the next game, because the next game, it was a complete different game, right? You have Indiana versus Oregon, right? And for me, that game, it was a shellacking, right? It was literally the definition of belt to ass. All right. You had You had Oregon and Indiana. Both. First quarter, Indiana scores, then Oregon scores, and then after that, it was to the races. Literally, Indiana could have been up way much higher than what they were. I mean, I think it was halftime, and I was like, this game is over. There's no reason to watch this game. But shout out to Don. Not really shout out, unfortunately, for Dante Moore. He had 285 yards. Sounds pretty good with 2 touchdowns. And I want to say most of that was in junk time, right? Meanwhile, you have the Heisman winning, the Cuban missile that some people call him, Fernando Mendoza, 177 yards, but 5 touchdowns. A QBR of 98.5. That is like, it almost looks like he didn't have to play half the game. He had to hardly do anything. The team did it for, the first play of the game was a pick 6. Literally, the first play of the game was a pick 6. It was nuts. What'd you guys think of that game?
That game was they probably couldn't have even played Mendoza and probably won that game. I don't know, man. Like, that game was boring in the sense that, like, you knew it was over by the end of the first quarter. It's what Oregon did to the teams they played going into that game. It was belt to ass from beginning to the end.
Mm-hmm.
UM's got a monster walking into the Hard Rock on, was it the 19th?
Yeah.
They have a monster coming, and they're hungry. UM's going to have to be just as hungry, and they're going to have to fight their way through what Mendoza is about to bring to that field. Their defense is really good, but that man looks like a starting NFL quarterback.
Yeah, you got to be muted.
So you're going to have to keep that muted until
hot mic. You guys got a hot mic?
Sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead, dude. Go ahead.
But yeah, they got what looks like an NFL caliber quarterback, a starting NFL caliber quarterback walking into their building.
Yeah.
Just don't lose to Mendoza in your own home. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't know, bro. It was nuts. Let me just set the atmosphere for some people in that game, right? That game was not a neutral site for Oregon at all. That was an Indiana home game. That's what that was. If you watched all the video, especially when they were showing you the image from like up above, from up in the ceiling down, literally that stadium was covered in red. I want to say the only green I could see was over by the Oregon band. That's the only green and yellow you could see in that stadium. It was nuts. So shout out to the Indiana fans. They traveled well, and I expect them to travel well to the Miami Hurricanes, down here at the Hard Rock. The question is, can fans even afford to go to the game? Have you guys seen the prices of tickets?
Hell yeah,
It's
the cheapest
insane.
is $3,000.
Yeah, I was gonna go to the game, and then I saw the price, and I was like, I would rather spend $3,000 on me going to a Super Bowl. Even if I have to pay more than that, I want that $3,000 to go to the Super Bowl than go to a college football national championship. Just saying. How can you expect college students to afford that, let alone afford tuition? I mean, I'm hoping the students get a better deal, but $3,000? Holy crap. And that's for nosebleed. The very last row nosebleed, right?
I saw a market that had a 50-yard line seat for $10,000.
Oh, I got that beat. And I don't know what type of seat it was. I do know it's the lower level 1 bowl area, right? And it was somewhere around the 50-yard line. Somebody had it for $28,000. That was on StubHub.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah, insane. But yeah, let's talk about this game real quick. It was very like, I want to say for Oregon, it was demoralizing what happened from the very second the game started, right? That defense instantly pick six. It wasn't like a deep throw down the field that the guy caught the interception and ran it back. Not like that. He went to do one of those quick passes, you know, to the left near the line of scrimmage, and it instantly got taken straight, you know, straight into the end zone. That was the beginning of the game. I want to say it was like quite a few minutes before even Mendoza was even able to step on the field, right? And from the get-go, they were just picking them apart. You know, they were running the ball well. They were, you know, he was always trying to find an open player, let it be Surratt or even what's that other receiver that they have? Becker, I think his name is. Let me find his name real quick.
Yep, that's Becker.
Yeah, Charlie Becker and Elijah Surratt. Both those guys, hell of performance, right? You know, great touchdowns. Even shout out to Keelan Black. He had 12 carries, 63 yards, and 2 tutties, right?
Omar Cooper.
Or Cooper. You know, Omar Cooper did very well, and so did EJ Williams. These guys came to play, right? That defense came to play. They you know, put a nightmare on Dante Moore at times. Now, if you look at the numbers for Dante Moore, like I mentioned earlier, 285 yards, 2 tutties, and an interception. That doesn't sound like a bad game, right? But most of those yards all came in I want to say junk time. Most of it did. And it is what it is. I want to say for that game, I think that was most surprising is how much of a dominating performance from the start to the end that Indiana had. They didn't give Oregon any hope whatsoever. The other thing that I thought was very impressive was the demeanor of Coach Signetti, right? There was perfect pass touchdowns that Mendoza threw in that game, and they had video like of him watching the play develop, the pass being made, and then the touchdown being made. And this guy can't even crack a smile. He's just like, "You're not impressive. You didn't do anything that you shouldn't have already done. Push on. Let's do the next play." You know, or that wasn't good enough. Do it again. He had that type of mentality throughout the entire thing. I don't think I saw this guy smile once until after the game. I don't know what you guys think about Curt Signetti, but, you know, we're talking about this college. There's a lot of NFL teams that have reached out to him, you know, trying to see if he's interested. I saw a post on Twitter today. People are trying to say that Steelers could be calling him next. I know he got calls from the Giants. I heard that, and from some of the other teams, but I don't know. What do you guys think of Curt Signetti? How do you think he coached the game? Was it, you know, anything you want to point out about the Indiana game?
Steve, if you could go first, I'd like to be the last one on this.
Yeah, I'm that's fine because mine's
You
not
know,
that crazy.
Well, I was gonna say, you know, the reason why he wants to be the last one is because he's enjoying his dinner, so he needs time. So take your time.
I'm sure. No, I was gonna say I think Cincinnati they're gonna answer that physicality. Indiana is physical. They ain't scared to be physical. I made the idea like what's stopping the Raiders from going to get Mendoza and Surratt and then hiring Cincinnati to coach them. Like I don't see that past. Is it Mark Davis? I think is their owner. I can't remember his name, but like that dude is always going against the grain and doing some wild stuff. So they yeah, I think Indiana's going to bring something that UM's going to have to be prepared for. My only thing with Indiana, Dante Moore's not he's a good athlete. He's a very good athlete, but it's not like it's impossible to get sacks on him. They only had 3. You're going to need more than that against UM. You have to make Carson Beck uncomfortable. He was way too comfortable in that game against Ole Miss. They couldn't get enough to get to him. If Indiana wants to win this game, they're going to need to stop the run and make Carson Beck uncomfortable. and then let Mendoza do what Mendoza does. That's the only way they're going to win this game.
Very interesting. I definitely agree. What do you think, Mystic?
Man, oh man. You know, I grew up in a time where, when we first got on the college scene, hang on here, my bad.
Meanwhile, Mystic is on his McDonald's break.
Okay,
Make sure you
I'm
guys
back.
hit the like button.
Yeah, like, subscribe, tell us how we're doing on this McDonald's break. No, I had to get upstairs and was passing kids and all that fun jazz.
I'm just messing with you, man. No worries.
No, you're good. I love it. I love it. So I remember growing up in college football, and we watched all these great college teams. And we watched this dude who most Dolphin fans hated at the time because he came to Miami and then took a plane and became the head coach of Alabama. And the rest is history because he became one of the greatest coaches that we've seen in college football. Created a dynasty, created a standard, if you will. The standard to winning at Alabama was exactly to what you guys were saying with Signetti's personality on the sideline. You're supposed to do that. You're supposed to make those plays. You're supposed to make those throws. You're supposed to show up and know what this game plan is and execute it to the level that we all talked about doing in this building. That's what I see from Kurt Signetti. I see a Nick Saban 2.0, no nonsense. I don't care if I'm up 30 points. I'm coaching my team hard. And if you messed up something, even though you're up 30 points, I'm going to chew your ass about it so you understand that little detail matters. I don't care if we're winning 20, 30, 40, 50 points. You're going to get that play right. Because there could be a time when we're not up by 30, 50, 40, 50 points, and you need to execute that properly. I love what the dude stands for. I love that he has taken a nobody organization and has brought them to stardom. He has brought them to the light. He has showed us an Indiana Hoosiers team that there's probably tons of people who didn't even know who the hell this team was. The Indiana Hoosiers in my life, the only time I'd ever heard about them was their basketball program. Let's be honest. So when it comes to who Kurt Signetti is, who this team is, we say all the time, I want a team that's going to take on the personality of my head coach. That's what the Indiana Hoosiers have done. They have taken on their personality of Kurt Signetti. I don't care how hard you want to punch someone in the face. What's funny to me is, would you ever go up to a cowboy or to someone who's a rancher or with someone who works on a farm who deals with cattle and stuff and thinking that punching them in the face is going to break their will? Because I sure as hell don't. I know many of those people, and those are people that have been hit by, again, horses, cows, things 3 times the strength of what a human person can do. And you're not just going to hit that person in the face and think you're going to stop them from their job. What I love is that's also the mentality of the Indiana Hoosiers. You can punch these dudes. You could tell them they don't belong. You could try to push them down. They're going to be there for 4 quarters. I heard this week, too, that just because the Miami's O-line is bigger, they should absolutely run all over this little defensive line for Indiana. So, Steve, Ollie, I know you guys aren't, the six mentality of myself. So anytime that you guys ran into a bigger guy in your life, he whooped your ass, right? Because that's what I'm hearing from this Miami, fan.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's my
talking
point.
wild now.
That's my point. It's size don't always matter in that fight. It's heart, man. And then when you come down to it, this Indiana team is pure heart.
Oh, I never got my ass whooped, so I don't know how that feels.
Thank you.
No, look, I get what you're saying, and this Indiana team, they're gonna come. They're gonna come to whoop ass. That's exactly what they want to do. Um, they have a coach that coaches to a level of excellence. What that means is he wants you to not just be perfect, but to make it in a way where what you do on the field, even though it looks amazing, that's what you should do on it's just everyday play. It's like muscle memory, right? That's what he's coaching to. He's coaching to perfect execution. That's what he's doing. And even when they make the plays, the job isn't done. Something Ryan Day did a lot last season during the playoffs, and I did not see it this season, and I was kind of disappointed by it. But who knows? Maybe he did it. We didn't get that video from in the locker room, like we did last season. But when they go into halftime, right? The first thing that the coaches will say, it's 0-0. The score starts, it's like the game starts all over again, right? I think, in my opinion, Curt Cignetti coaches in a way that after the end of each quarter, the game restarted itself. And he's starting as if it's a brand new game. Regardless of what the score is. The score could be 21-0 Indiana. When that second quarter starts, it's a whole new game, 0-0. And I think the way he coaches that way, I think he's building the trust. He's gaining the trust of his players that allows them to play beyond their talent. I've heard everybody and their mom, you've even said this, Mystic. Well, Indiana doesn't have all these 4-star and 5-star players on their team. Well, I get that. But if they're playing and getting regular playing time, what does it matter if they're 4-star or 5-star players? What does it matter? That rating goes out the window if you're getting playing time. So for me, it doesn't matter what star they are. They could be a 5-star player. They could be a 4-star player. They're getting their team to play above and beyond that. And it's very impressive. So shout out to Curt Cignetti. Shout out to the Hoosiers. I can't wait for this game. I think it's going to be big. It's going to be one of two things, which we'll get into that. Any final thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, I just want to say, kind of to what you were just talking about there, I think that's what makes it even more impressive to me is Cignetti has a chance to put this team up in, college greatness. Put yourself up there with some of the greatest teams of all time. Not from a talent standpoint, but from I went out, executed, and literally went undefeated and won a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I'm, you're right. I do say, that they don't have all the 4 or 5 stars. And I think that's why it's most impressive, because what could Curt Cignetti do if you gave him 4 and 5-star talent? We're already seeing him blow the brakes off people with the talent that he has now. You give him some of the most elite talent in college football, people think they have a chance now. You won't have a chance then.
And see, that's kind of what I was about to say. Like, most of the players that he has on his team have come through transfer portals. Indiana wasn't built through this amazing recruiting season that they had. No, it was built back-to-back seasons of taking all the funds and using it in the transfer portal. So they're already bringing in established players of all different talents, 4-star, 3-star, 5-star, but none of that matters because these players actually have already been on the field. They have some experience. It's not like these guys are the it's not like they don't have talent is basically what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Right? They definitely have talent. He just knows how to manage that talent to win games. And that's what he's doing.
100%. I just want to add one more thing too, because I just kind of recently noticed this. Do you know who one of the biggest alumni for Indiana is?
I know who's funding Indiana. That's Mark Cuban.
He's an alumni.
Oh, I didn't know that. So
He
yeah,
didn't want to. Yep, he gave Signetti a nice chunk last year and just gave a bigger chunk. Haven't shared
yeah, he's been playing
the
with billionaires'
number,
money,
but
man.
yeah,
That's what,
they said a more gracious offer than he gave last year. So we'll see.
yeah, yeah. Mark
We have a
Cuban
little bit of
is.
breaking news.
Oh,
I don't
go
know
give
if
me.
we want to announce it.
Go ahead.
On Three Sports is reporting UM offered $6.5 million for Ty Simpson to stay in college.
Yep, I knew that as well. Yeah,
Apparently, Tennessee, UM, and Ole Miss all offered 4 million up to 6.5 million from UM to keep Ty Simpson in college. He turned down that 6 mil in NIL to go to the NFL.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is really nuts how things turned out. Speaking also of QB new destination, Dylan Raiola has a new destination. He has a new home. He is now committed to Oregon. I don't know if you guys saw that. Dylan Raiola to Oregon. That was a team that was not on my
Big and
radar.
Homes.
I thought he wanted to stay in that Big 12 region. I know he's from the Big 10 from Nebraska, but I thought he want to go to like a Texas Tech or a school like that. I did not expect him to go to Oregon. That's a big pickup for them.
Well,
Well,
Sorsby kind of took the Texas Tech away from him. So,
yeah, and there's been some rumors that Dylan Raiola is upset with Texas Tech because he felt betrayed because the only reason he got into the portal because I guess he got an offer from them that he was going to accept. So I don't know. You were going to say something, Mystic?
I was actually just gonna say that Sorsby pretty much came in and stole that out from under him. He wanted to go to Texas Tech. I guess was pleading with the coaches to go to Texas Tech. They went with Sorsby. Looks like he took his second option, which was Oregon. I don't hate it. Again, we talk with people all the time. Shout out to Lewis at the Blitz pickup. To his point, you guys had a good conversation here a while ago. When you look at the football intangibles for Dylan Raiola, there's some things you can like about the kid. I'm glad he's going back to college. Obviously, he has a good build. I think I just want to see mental maturity from a progression standpoint, seeing the field, excuse me, things of that such. What we all hate about the kid is that he's not Dylan Raiola. He thinks he's Patrick Mahomes. And that's the one knock that everyone's going to have on the kid. Say what you want. It is what it is. It's a mental game. You mentally can't trust who you are. And, in the moment, sometimes I'm going to question it. It's just who it is.
Yeah, definitely. It's the whole, how do I put it? For me, I guess, in my opinion, Dylan Raiola needed to go to a blue collar program that teaches toughness. That's what I wanted for him specifically, because I felt at Nebraska and how do I say this? How do I put this? At times I feel like he wears his emotions on his sleeve. Do you understand what I mean by that? Like, I think like he lets the emotions get the best of him, So I kind of wanted him to go to one of these gritty teams personally, to prove to everybody he has the toughness and that he's not gonna let anything stand in his way. Some people will argue, I know Lewis will come in, well, he definitely has that. He doesn't give up on plays. I understand he doesn't give up on plays. That's not really what I'm talking about. I want him to get that I'm a cerebral Iceman type of demeanor to him. That's what I wanted him to learn. You look at Mendoza, I like calling him the Iceman of the Big Ten and now Iceman of college, right? That guy is clutch, Mr. Clutch in the most perfect opportune moment. He's going to score, right? That's the type of, I don't want to say mentality, but QB that I kind of hope that he could become. I mean, I also thought maybe there was a chance he could go to Indiana. Shit. I thought that would have been a good spot for him too, but we'll see. Very interesting news. Let's see.
Speaking of Indiana, they got themselves a new quarterback transfer as well.
Oh yeah, please do tell.
Josh Hoover. That was going to be a question I was going to ask. Do you guys think Josh Hoover can recreate what Mendoza did with Indiana next season?
Well, again, if you paid attention to what Kurt Signetti has said, why did he bring that quarterback in? Competition.
Explain.
Competition. He's already said and told, because Fernando Mendoza's brother is there.
Yeah.
Everyone thoroughly expects that kid to start next year, blah, blah, blah. Signetti said, you're going to earn it. He's bringing in competition. He's going to bring in people that he thinks can run this system at a high level. And he's going to have Mendoza's little brother come in and try to win that job. He wins that job. There's people that say, from an accuracy standpoint and sometimes with like the leg standpoint, his brother is better than Fernando. So I don't think it's impossible. Like I said, actually I haven't said it yet. I'm not going to say it yet. I have a hot take coming up. But there's a reason why I think that they will be able to recapture this success, Steve.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think they brought in a perfect fit for what they're coming from to what they're going to. Competition it's going to be great for that, but it's just Hoover was good at TCU. I mean, he was good. He wasn't great, but he was good. I think the next level with some talent around him, that Indiana might be able to make another run depending on what happens to the rest of that team into next season.
I get what you're saying. But this is the big but. I kind of agree with Mystic's take that, I have heard rumors that Mendoza's brother is a better overall QB. I have heard that. I've also, looking at who they got, I definitely see where competition is going to be put in and that person's going to have to earn it. I also think Signetti understands that, let's say he gets the job done this week, right? Hypothetically. I think he understands that he can't just continue to build the team through the transfer portal. He needs to start developing his own recruits and start developing a QB in home, rather than trying to pay money to buy himself a QB every time. It's the same argument that I've made with the Miami Hurricanes, that they need to make sure that they start developing their guys. How many people were they connected with this offseason, in regards to Miami? You just mentioned one already, Ty Simpson. Steve, you mentioned him being connected with Miami. The guy that signed with LSU, Sam Levitt, I think his name is, he was connected. He visited Miami for that, from what I understood, right? So all these guys are being mentioned to Miami, but Miami, I think, is at a point where they can't just continue to buy quarterback after quarterback to carry them for 1 year. They need to start developing the guys in home, because the longer you go without developing these guys you have in-house, they start leaving. Look at Ohio State, for example. We're a victim of this right now. Let's look at Ohio State. And I know a lot of people think that I'm trying to make this an Ohio State podcast. I'm not. I just use them as reference because they're the team that I study the most, right? Look at what's happened. Year in and year out for the past 3 years, they've had arguably the top wide receivers in recruiting, right? If you keep bringing in top 5 wide receiver talents each year, as they have been for the past several years, more than the past 3 years, even further, if I'm on your roster and let's say I'm second string or third string, when am I going to get the playing time? When am I going to get the playing time if you keep bringing the top receiver every year, right? We had Jeremiah Smith. This year, it's Chris Henry Jr., right? And Carnell Tate was already here, right? Carnell Tate's leaving. That means Chris Henry Jr. is going to take his spot. You also have Guilford, who's another big-time receiver that everyone thought was going to go to LSU, and he picked Ohio State instead. You look at these receivers. I mentioned earlier to Steve, but we were talking backstage. USF has signed a receiver from OSU. Freaking today, Notre Dame. In fact, I think this happened yesterday. It's either yesterday or today. Notre Dame signed 2. One of them's a 5-star, the other one's a 4-star, and they were just recruited last year, if not the year before. You know what I'm saying? You can't just sit here and try to play the transfer portal game, because then you start losing real talent on your roster, right? You have to, at some point, start developing the guys you have in-house. I like if Cignetti really brought this guy in for competition, like Mystic said, I love it. I think it's a great idea, and more power to him. That's what I got to say. Any other thoughts? Sorry if I ran with that one.
No, you're good, man. I'm good on it.
Good stuff. All right. What I was going to go to, let's talk a little bit more about this game and what it means, right? What does this mean for both teams? Indiana, Curt Cignetti. Curt Cignetti came to Indiana with the sole purpose of bringing respect back to Indiana. What was that famous line he said about the Ohio State and Michigan in the gymnasium, right? When he got introduced as the head coach? F Ohio State, F Michigan, right? That's what he said. He basically came in and said deuces to the big upper echelon of the Big Ten, right? So what's at stake for them? Respect is number one. Respect is the one thing that I think Indiana and the Indiana fans want more than anything. They have longed for a time period where they're, I guess, I don't know how to say this properly, Mystic, the team with the most losses, the losingest program in college football, right? The last time they won a Big Ten title was 1965, right? So you look at that. They want to bring respect. And what better way to bring respect or gain respect by winning the national championship and staying undefeated, right? So bringing in a top 5 head coach, check. Bringing in an elite quarterback that can win a Heisman, check. Making a deep run in the playoff, check. National title. They won the Big Ten already. They just got to complete it for the perfect season by winning a national title. So that's what's at stake. What's at stake for Miami? From years past, this has been like 20 some years in the making, right? You had all this promise from Miami being the top tier, the best athletes, the best football. People say football is made in South Florida. That's what they say, right? And you had all this success only to be black flagged during an era and period of time where it was not okay to pay players. And there were several violations that they took, and the NCAA black flagged them. And they've been in the mud for several years, only for, I want to say it was like the early, it was like 2002, 2003. They had a run where all they had to do was beat Ohio State. I understand how the game ended. It ended in a penalty that upset thousands of fans, right? It was shocking. People still held that grudge that they never lost that game 20 years later, right? Then we went into this debate. Does Miami deserve to be in the playoffs after beating Notre Dame and the fact that they had 2 losses to some mid-tier, if not lower ACC teams, right? You look at that and you look and analyze how they got into the playoffs. It seems like it's always been a struggle for Miami. Even when they have the best of talent, the best of QB, it's not enough, right? You look at the fact that Mario Cristobal technically brought back respectability to Miami. I'll agree with that. You look at the recruiting that they've done the past 3 seasons, it's been an all-time high in my opinion. You look at the name, you look at guys like Malachi Tony. You look at guys like, I know I talked about this guy earlier, that he didn't have the best of performance, but he's shown that he definitely has talent. Ruben Bain, right? You look at him. You look at several of the players that are on this Hurricane team. They've put together a hell of a team, right? And has been able to beat Ohio States, the Notre Dames, the Ole Misses of the world, the Texas A&Ms. They've been able to do that. They're playing for respect, almost in my opinion, as much as Indiana to a degree, right? They've already won national championships before. Indiana has never. Miami has won ACC championships before. Indiana hasn't won one since 1965. They haven't won their Big Ten championship since then. But I'll argue, because of the things that happened in this road to the playoffs, they've had to play for respect. So now they're getting a chance to show their talents at the highest stage when it matters most in a national title game, right? In where? Their own home. That game is huge for Miami. A loss, to be honest, I'm going to go ahead and say it. It's going to be a reckoning for Miami fans. I have Miami fans that tell me, no, if we lose the game, it's all good. It's just another day. No biggie. I'm going to call bullshit on that. I know for a fact how much people from Miami, people from South Florida, how much the Hurricane fans themselves want this game to go their way, right? But I talked about Indiana, and Indiana being a team that is thirsty for respect, that are here on a mission to prove a point, and they have not faltered, right? That's the Indiana Hoosiers. Their fans traveled, I think it's like 1,200 miles or something like that, from Indiana all the way to Atlanta to watch that game, right? That stadium was 90% Indiana fans to Oregon. If you actually turn around and looked at the whole stadium, there was only green on like a half a quarter of the stadium. It was really, really small amount, to be honest. And you look at what they're playing for. They're playing for everything. They're putting it all on the line. Their coach is coaching. I want to say he's coaching at a different level. So for me, this game is going to be massive. What do you guys think so far?
Absolutely, man. I'm with you in agreement, in the sense of, kind of just took the words right from me. Miami has a chance to return to full-time relevancy. They have a chance to be that team that's competing for national championships again. The team that we always expect Miami to be, that powerhouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
But on the other side, you have a chance for a college that, again, like, you can say who Indiana was, but no one knew who Indiana was really before this year. So this is a chance for them to put themselves on the map 24/7, and not just do it, in over a couple seasons, earn people's respect by winning some big games. Like, I think that Big Ten championship in the 60s you're talking about, I don't even know if that was theirs outright. I think that was a shared Big Ten championship. Because I'm pretty sure this year was their first outright ever Big Ten championship. I know prior to this season, they'd never won the Rose Bowl. They won the Rose Bowl. Let's see. There's another one. What was the other one they won?
You're right. It was their first outright Big Ten title.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was shared in 1967. I'm trying to see who they shared it with. If it says, it doesn't say.
So yeah, that was their first outright. It is 100% theirs Big Ten championship. The other 2 games that they've won so far here, when they beat Alabama, what was that? Is that the Fiesta Bowl? No, that was the Rose Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So no, they just had no.
What's going on?
The Peach Bowl, excuse me. So they had won the Peach Bowl, they had won the Rose Bowl. Those are the first times they get their first outright Big Ten championship, and they get their first ever national championship berth. And he did it in 2 years. He did it in 2 seasons. This didn't take you years to build this thing. Curt Cignetti came in and said, "We're going. We're here. Now it's time for y'all to find out." You know what's that famous line? Google me and you'll find out. The dude's a winner. All he does is win wherever he goes. And another thing that I have is, you know what I also think this is potentially for Indiana? This is a chance for Indiana to start a run to be the next dynasty in college football. I think this is what this is too. The way that Indiana is handling teams, you're not just beating teams, you're taking them out to the shed. Well, let's that term, belt to ass, if you will. Curt Cignetti has this team at another level. You know, again, he's not planning to just be this one and done. He's planning and still recruiting and having teams ready for next year. Another thing that come to me was there's something that's popped up and people are trying to, formulate that Indiana has played lesser talent than the ACC Miami Hurricanes. And I just can't stand for that, Ollie. I just can't stand for that.
Lesser talent is what they said?
Yes. The lesser talent is supposedly the Big Ten. And I think
lesser talent. Okay. Ohio State, everybody tells me they get nothing but 4 and 5-star players. Michigan, who gets 4 and 5-star players. Oregon, who gets 4 and 5-star players. You want me to keep going down? Illinois, who on a good day can beat anybody, right? I've seen them beat teams. They beat Michigan last year, a good Michigan team, if anything, compared to this year. And then you got who else you got in that division? USC, they get 4 and 5. In fact, USC, if it wasn't last year, I want to say it was either last year or the year before, they had literally the #1 recruiting class.
Yep.
So how can you say that the Big Ten doesn't have talent? Do you want to know what's at stake here? I forgot one last thing for Indiana. I forgot.
Oh, you mean the bragging rights here? Is that what you're talking about?
Not just bragging rights. That's part of the respect. That's part of the respect aspect.
Okay.
What I'm talking about, you're about to see if it goes Indiana's way, which I'm not saying that's my pick, because we're going to get to picks here in a second. If it goes Indiana's way, you are going to see if it goes Indiana's way, 3 national championships won by what conference? The Big Ten. Michigan, Ohio State, Indiana. That's what you're going to see if it goes Indiana's way, right? I'm sorry. When you're seeing a conference win 3 straight national championships, right? If that happens, it's really hard for me to say that conference doesn't have any talent, right? It's just like when Alabama and Georgia's and all the other SEC teams that won national championships for however many years straight, it's because they had all the best talent. That was the argument, right? Now you're not seeing the SEC win every single bowl game. In fact, SEC got their ass spanked this year in bowl games. And there's only two teams standing. There's the ACC team, the Miami Hurricanes, who are not even the ACC champions. No offense, but it's true. They're not. But I will argue that they are more talented than who won the ACC championship, just so you know. I will agree to that. But I will argue that how can you say they play lesser talent when they still play the Ohio States, they still play the Michigans, they still play the Oregons, and Indiana did make the playoff last season on top of it, right? It wasn't like this is the first time they've been there. It's not an anomaly anymore. My point is that that's a cheap take, bro. That's a take for somebody that's too proud that their team may have a lot of talent, but that doesn't mean other teams don't either. And that's something that I'll agree. I'll agree that your team is good. I'll agree that you probably have a lot of talent. I'm not disputing that, right? I just don't think that makes you a horrible team because of who's in your conference. All right. I had to play Texas. I had to play Indiana. I had to play Michigan and Penn State. And Penn State, that's another thing. A lot of people forget, regardless of what happened to Penn State, regardless of Coach Franklin getting fired and that team getting spanked by UCLA, and I want to say they lost to Oregon too, and some other teams, right? They were in the game against Indiana. In fact, Indiana had to make a last-second acrobatic touchdown in the back of the end zone with it 1 foot down. I want to say, if I remember correctly, and I want to say it was either Cooper or Surratt, one of the two, that won that game for Indiana in the clutch, right? Penn State was a team that ESPN, Fox Sports stated that they were the team to beat because they had most potential to win the national championship this year. And look what happened, right? It's not our fault that they ended up not performing to the standards that were given to them. But yeah, I'm sorry I went on a rant, Mystic. Continue. I don't like that take that we don't have very talented, teams. We may not have teams that have been able to put it together, but there's been a shit ton of talent year in and year out from the Big Ten that happens every year.
Oh, no, I'm with you. Trust me, I'm with you wholeheartedly in that.
Iowa, I forgot the most important team. Iowa, for you. Iowa is hell of a defensive juggernaut, right? That's
top 10 defense.
That's tight end you, man.
Yeah,
go ahead.
They had a top 10 defense this year.
Mm-hmm.
And here's something for you Hurricane fans. You guys ready for this? For all you guys that want to say, well, right now the teams that are playing, or we have the best offensive line, we got this best player, and Indiana hasn't played against an offensive line like us. You're right. They haven't played against the Miami Hurricanes, but they played against the best offensive line in all of college football, and that was the Iowa Hawkeyes, who won the Joe Moore Award.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't back down. They came to Iowa and they won the game. They won it by 3. They took care of business. Another thing, I look back in the schedule for Indiana. They also played Mr. Diego Pavia in Purdue.
Yeah.
And they did. And
Diego Pavia's was Vanderbilt, not Purdue.
Excuse me. Vanderbilt. No, excuse me. I was gonna say that. I was like, wait a minute. I got that thrown there. No, there were some times they absolutely rolled people. There was some teams obviously who had some down season, whatever. Didn't really look so great. Vanderbilt was Purdue. Oh my God, was one of the lesser teams in the Big Ten. But when you look at when they played those top defenses, played Oregon twice. They beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. He went to and played against Penn State, 100,000 plus at Happy Valley. So he had to deal with that regardless if they were good or not. The whiteout was the whiteout. It was there. And then again, he had to come to Iowa, take care of business, played Oregon. He when I say he, Mr. Fernando Mendoza, I think people want to see this kid like just jump off and do all these flashy plays and not understand, in my opinion. I don't think that's Fernando Mendoza. He
Mm-hmm.
is this quiet, silent, we're gonna run the ball. My defense is gonna play really good. I'm gonna have a short field. But when I have the ball in my hands, I'm gonna get points. He's not that flashy guy. He's just a very, very solid quarterback that executes at a high level. And it's very hard to get that guy off of his point and style of execution.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Alabama. Alabama got after him early. The team settled in. Coaching and the coaches made adjustments, allowed them to get their game plan going. They started rolling 38-3. Rest is history against, again, Alabama, one of the premier colleges of the last, what did I talk about? 10, 15 years?
Yeah.
So then we go to this last week. We talked about this Oregon game earlier. They came out and executed early. They got up on Oregon. Obviously, Dante Moore again looked terrible. You can't throw that opening pick. Like, again, though, as much as we say someone plays terrible, how about hats off to Indiana's defense? We talk about Miami, they dropped all those interceptions. Indiana did drop an interception, pick six. So it really comes down to what's going to happen, who's going to show up. I just think Indiana really has a lot to prove here, man. They continue to be told they're too small, they can't win, they shouldn't be here. You're not good enough to win against these teams who have all this superior talent, quote unquote, than you. Like, it's the Cignetti effect, man. I feel like that all plays into what Kurt Cignetti is, and Kurt Cignetti is going to have these dudes ready to run through a wall for him. All you have to do is you just have to give Mendoza just a second, and he'll make a difference. And I think that's going to be what it comes down to. Can he get that second? But for the people saying that Fernando Mendoza is a one-read quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what games you're watching. If he's a one-read quarterback, then you wouldn't have all these different guys having all these touches, having all these touchdowns. Like, he spreads the ball around one of the, in my opinion, better than anybody in college football right now.
No, he definitely does. I agree with that. He's very balanced. Steve, we haven't heard from you, man. What are your thoughts?
I was just letting y'all going back and forth. I think this game, no matter who wins, it is fandom changing things. Like this, no matter who wins, that fan base is going to experience something that pretty well for Indiana that they've never seen, and for most of the fans under the age of 40 are gonna not have ever seen. So like this is big, and it's nice to see at least it's two different teams than some of the perennial what you would call powerhouses in colleges. No matter how this game turns out, it's nice to see two different people win. We talk about this with the Super Bowl every year, right? We get tired of the Mahomes era, the Brady era. Like, it's time to see something new, and we're getting to see two different teams finally make it and a new person be crowned. And that's great for college sports as a whole. Gives me hope. You're muted, Ollie.
Sorry about that. I'm like doing two things at once. We may have a special guest that might show up that wanted to give his input. But yeah, I completely understand with you. I definitely like the fact that this is two teams that haven't won it in quite some time. So or won it ever, I should say. So that is kind of refreshing. I kind of like that kind of, that's what I'm kind of hopeful for. I'm kind of hopeful we get a team to win it this year, like the Super Bowl, for example. I want someone to win it that hasn't been the perennial, it's not going to be the Eagles. It's not going to be Kansas City. So that's good news, right? So I want it to be a team that really hasn't won it. So we'll see what happens.
I'll be right back.
All right, no worries. We're gonna wait till Steve gets back, and then we're gonna talk about who we're picking for this game, right? But before we do that, make sure you hit the like button, right? Subscribe if you're brand new. Share it with your friends. You can also find us on Spotify and listen to our shows rather than watch us. I know I look kind of goofy up here, but you can find us on Spotify. Follow us on X. That's the best way to, see updates from us, to see our show. You can watch us on X as well. At 4th and 10U. You can use that to search for us on X. You can also use that to search for our channel on YouTube as well. So definitely make sure you do so. So Mystic, how was your dinner?
It was okay. It wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't the worst. Food's food. As long as it fuels it, right?
I got you. It didn't hit the spot, did it?
Yeah, it just kind of did. It did the job, but it was whatever. I haven't really been feeling the greatest. But my back's all fucked up, and
yeah, I gotcha.
it's all good. It's one of those days, but it is what it is. Other than that, it's been a solid day. Dinner wasn't, too bad. Can't complain, right?
Yeah,
at least I got fed, right?
Definitely. We got food. Oh man, my wife made a mean shepherd's pie, and that's what I had today for dinner.
Solid, man.
Yep. People don't know shepherd's pie. If you know what I mean. It's one of those things.
Fire.
Yeah, I love shepherd's pie. What else? What do you think of your intro music? I decided to have some fun with that.
Hey, look at you doing great things. I appreciate it. I think it's awesome, and I appreciate the time that you take to do the little things like that for the show. So shout out to you for the little effects and things that you take time to do for us, because that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't tell you this, but Steve has his own intro music too now.
Oh,
yeah.
I love it.
Maybe I'll let you. Maybe I'll play the intro music as part of the ending of the show. So I don't know. It'll be fun.
Maybe we should wait. We should save it, for the time that he's late. Maybe that one time, one time he's late.
Did Steve just talk some smack saying that his is way better than yours? I think he did. He just said that his song is better than yours.
It is. Mine's better than his.
Oh, I got to play it now. Everybody's going to want to know what this song is. We're waiting on somebody anyway. I'm going to go ahead and hear.
Turn it up. Tampa in the building. Steve walking like what? New week, new smoke. College crowd on go. Steve talking that talk. Make a mascot fold. Green drip on the fit. Gold shine on the wrist. If you're lining up wrong, he gon' put you on the list. Steve what it takes. That Bulls talk. Watch him run it. USF on the screen. Whole squad, they be bumping. Hard hits, loud trash. If you saw it, better duck. Welcome to the show, little bro. That's tough luck. Logo on the cap. Headset full stats. He don't care about feelings, he just care about facts. Call out your team, then laugh at your scheme. If you see green horns, charging better clear out the screen.
All right, I got two things.
Okay.
First of all, there's a lie told in there. He loves numbers. It's not facts and screw stats. It's all about stats and numbers for Steve to prove his points. So we need to flip that in there somehow.
That is funny. I will play. since we played Mystics and we've played Steve's intro music, I have one for myself too. I will play that towards the end of the show. That'll
Perfect.
be the bottom line. So we'll play that. But we have someone in the back, a Miami Hurricane fan.
Oh no.
A fan that people argue that sometimes he has the perfect voice for radio. And you may not get to watch him sometime. But if you do get a chance, also check out his political channel. I know he's doing some more political stuff now. But shout out to Color. What is up, Color? I like that avatar.
Oh yeah, yeah. And you notice which it's cut off by the circle. Is my volume okay? By the way, I'm using a different.
No, we can't hear you at all. Nope, not at all.
You're fine. You're fine. How's it going, Color?
Feedback or anything?
Yeah, no feedback. No
All
feedback.
right, perfect. But you notice it's cut off by the circle, but that was the turnover chain that they ran one year where it actually has all three of the South Florida counties colored in at the corner: Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade. So I thought it was nice that they recognize us down there up here in the no man's land. But
I just like that
gotta
center
say,
of the circle
like that.
there is Tampa. That's all I'm saying.
The reason I just wanted to come up real quick. Oh, it looks like I've lost my privileges for good. So I don't know if I'm ever going to do a show again, but that's okay. I got plenty of ways I can get my opinion out there. Nobody's going to shut me down, Ali. But this idea about Indiana and not playing good teams, I'm just so tired of that nonsense, dude. You know what I mean? Like in the NFL too, bro. Like did it seem like the Patriots had a problem this weekend in the wild card round?
I didn't think so.
I didn't think so either. Actually, their defense played better than their statistics showed they should have. So I'm kind of like on the little, but then Houston came through and laid down the law on defense yesterday, man. So you know what I mean. I'm still confident in my Houston-Seattle Super Bowl pick, but that's based solely on the old adage that defense wins championships, right? So that's just it, Anyway, but the reality of it is, I don't care who they faced. Most of the teams that they should have rolled, they rolled. You know what I mean? So what are we talking about here? They only played bad teams. Yeah, but they put 70 points on every one of them. Colloquially speaking. You know what I mean? Like,
well, first of all, Indiana did not put 70 points on every one of them.
No, but am I right that they blew out quite a few of these bad teams?
That's true.
I don't follow them enough, so I don't know really. Maybe I'm talking out my rear, but the point is, the reality of the situation is, they've got 5,000 guys that look like they're ready to play in the NFL. That's what's coming to Miami next week.
And some of that, I'll argue even for Miami that I think this game is going to have some of the most NFL talent in it when it's all said and done, to be honest.
What have I been saying the whole year, Ali, for Miami and what the key to winning is, especially when they beat Notre Dame? And then I would argue you guys too, and, even maybe Ole Miss. I don't know, but Ole Miss, I just don't. Look, we're coming off probably the biggest win in 20 years, as you pointed out earlier, against Ohio State. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and, nitpick even guys like Reuben Bain. I get what y'all are saying. You guys have a different debate going on X and all that I don't want to really get involved with. I just think it's a little hyperbolic I don't generally go hard on the amateur athletes simply because they're, they got so much time to improve every little thing.
I got it. But for me, the reason I was bringing it up, Color, and this is something the audience doesn't know, after this game, there's going to be like 1 week of just like a break that we're going to have. Then we're going to go into the road to the NFL draft. We're going to be talking about prospects that are coming out of college for the draft. We're going to be analyzing certain position groups and also do a mock draft here on Game Time Grind. That's kind of what my plan is that I was going to discuss with Steven Mystic. I just, the reason I'm bringing it up, why I'm kind of disappointed is not saying everybody, but there's been a lot of people that are in South Florida or part of that fan base that has been telling me that Ruben Bain is this top 5, top 10 pick.
Right.
And in my opinion, and I know that you may not like to hear this, but Ole Miss, Miami should have and did beat them, right? They should have taken care of them. And to me, Ole Miss is really this mid-tier SEC team. And I really feel that Ruben Bain should have shown more production besides just one solo tackle that's not even a tackle for loss.
Right. And here's the thing. I heard you talking about that earlier, and obviously, I have my, I'm one of those that says pump the brakes on that.
Yeah.
But I have to find a way to be able to, kind of refute or give my opinion, which would refute some people's opinions, obviously yours, that there was these other factors involved. You know what I mean? I have to be able to debate that without disagreeing necessarily on whatever you may think his draft stock is. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you.
And that's the fine line I've got to ride right now. But I'm just going to say, when it comes to what happened the other night with Ruben Bain and his lack of tackles and all that, I mean, you're not just talking about double teamed. You're not just talking about, this or that or the other. You're talking about like an entire game plan to make sure that football was nowhere near Ruben Bain the other night. And I think it's a little unfair to discount that so easily, because we look at guys like Jordan Brooks, who, leading the league in tackles, right? We're all, oh yeah. Yet he had 5 against the Jets, bro. So you got, not only do you have double teaming, which, yeah, he needs to overcome. He obviously needs to, if you're looking at individual plays and saying, oh, he should have done this or that on that play, and I expect more, great. You know what I mean? I can't dispute that. But when it comes to like, not only double team, you got running away from him, you got passing the ball more often, you got there's a couple more I haven't that I've left out, you know what I mean, that I can throw at it, just in general, an entire game plan to make sure the ball don't go anywhere near him. Then you got the fact of who is there to tackle if you're not on the field with the football. You know what I mean? And there was one more that was really important, and it just has to do with the Jordan Brooks comparison and the Jets. Like, there's nothing you can do. You know what I mean? But like, if you look at like everybody in the league, all the best, linebackers, whatever, and you look at their list of tackles, and this isn't to say, oh, everybody has a bad game. I hate that, because I can't say whether he had a bad game. I'd have to look at each individual play and see how he played with his technique. You know what I mean?
And then you have to.
People have done that homework. I'm not going to dispute that homework. You know what I mean?
Here's the other thing, though. What do you consider a bad game? You'd have to look at his entire makeup of all of the games he's played to determine that.
The fact that a team is game planning to not. Okay, it's one thing if he averaged 10 tackles a game, and this game he only got 7, and everything, and it was like, okay, we expect more, and you can, but when you're talking about a disparity from 10 to 1, you're talking about there's more involved than just him having a bad game. You know what I mean? Maybe it's partly that.
Yeah, Color, but here's the pushback, and this is why this keeps getting talked about. And again, this is why a few people in the spaces have been pushing back on what Ali and I have been saying all year. Our issue with Ruben Main all year is his ability to finish. He brings pressure. And I would even say the tackles and all that might be overstretching it, just because like you can have a bad game, whatever. This is the oddity. This would be the oddity game for him with tackles. So I even can overlook the tackles, because I don't think I see, again, because I'm not gonna disregard the fact that they were going out of their way to hold Ruben Bain on every single play. Like it's no secret. The problem is this man, like, remember what everybody said about Chop Robinson and his inability to finish? Like, you have to be able to finish.
Right.
That's been Ruben Bain's problem. He can't finish.
And that's fair. If that assessment is coming from, I'm looking at him actually playing individually on given plays, I can't refuse. That's not, and again, that's why I'm riding the fine line of how do I emphasize that, his lack of name being called the other night is more to do with the circumstance than a failure at performance per se, without necessarily arguing with you all's take on his individual attributes, because you've done more research on that. You know what I mean? I'm not going to dispute that.
Look, for me, and this is kind of what I was trying to just portray, Color. I think the player of his stature, if it's accurate based on everything that me and Steve have been told this season, regardless if you're being double teamed, regardless if someone's running away from you, regardless of them throwing the ball a lot more often, you find a way to impact the game. Sure. Right? Sure. And in my opinion, it was almost as if he wasn't even, like, if he didn't play the game, I wouldn't have.
Ali,
Ali,
you just reminded me with what you said about affecting the game. That's what I was going to add to it, is that the fact that they have to do all that to make sure a guy that averages, let's say 10, I don't know what he averages, but just let's say 10 tackles a game, in order for them to keep a guy like that down to 1 tackle a game, that means he is affecting the game, because he's cutting off half the field that they can operate on.
I get that.
He's taking plays out of their playbook.
I got you.
What I'm saying?
But I mean, you look at it from like the beginning of the season to now, right? Notre Dame, 6 tackles, right? 3 solo, 3 assists, and half a sack. Even the USF game, right? 6 tackles, 2 solo, 4 assists. You look at Florida, 7 tackles. You look at FSU, 4 tackles. Then he goes like this whole long period of time only having either just 1 tackle or maybe 2. And
now
then
that's where I might agree with you at.
Hold on.
Where I start to come to the table with you. If you're talking about long stretches of not getting 8 or 9 tackles, well, you don't see that when I use the Jordan Brooks comparison. You don't see that with Jordan Brooks. He had the 5 tackles against the Jets, and then the very next week he's at 14 or whatever it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. And here's the flip side of it. He shows up the last 2 games of the season. Pittsburgh and who was the last team they played? Let me go back to my thing I was looking at. Actually, he shows up for the Pittsburgh game and the Texas A&M game, the first game of the playoffs. He shows up. Right. Ohio State. Granted, he didn't have as many tackles because in the Pittsburgh and the Texas A&M game, he had 5 tackles. In fact, that Pittsburgh game, he had 5 tackles, 4 solo, 1 assist, and then 1.5 sacks.
Right. And your guys' coach is smarter than the rest. So that's probably, again, part of the effect of running away from him, not, passing the ball more, rolling the quarterback away from him. You know what I mean?
I get that. And I'm giving that to him.
Right.
Like, then we go to Ole Miss. And Ole Miss is a team that lost their head coach, right, regardless of what the reason was. They've lost several assistant coaches, offensive coordinators, all that stuff. They had to piece the coaching staff together, hold on to some of the players that didn't want to just dip out, right?
Sounds like the Jets staff. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So you have a lesser team. In fact, this is not even the top SEC talent. You have a lesser team, in my opinion. Again, this is all my opinion. And you don't find a way to really impact the game. Maybe he impacted by just sitting there and taking all the double teams.
Again, you're talking about an amateur staff at that point. That's exactly what they're gonna do. They're gonna fear a guy like him and cut off half the field for themselves.
All I can tell you is that when you go up against Indiana, he can't afford to be that kind of guy.
Agreed.
He has to find a way to impact.
Agreed. Because here's the thing, and I was gonna say that to Indiana's credit, they don't give a damn. They're gonna run that side of the ball if they want to run that side of the ball. You see what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure they have faith in their single offensive lineman to make sure he's contained.
Yeah. And the other flip side color, going back to the regular season, the LSU game, not the LSU game, I'm sorry, the Louisville game is what I meant to say. Louisville, and you look at SMU, he didn't show up in those games.
Right. And those are better offenses too. Because I was gonna say, if you look at his string of low games, if they coincide with the middle Tennessee states of the world, then obviously what I'm saying, kind of has a little merit. You know what I mean? But if it's like, hey, 12 against, like you guys, let's say, I don't know what it was, but just let's say against the team of that caliber, and then it's 4 against the team of that caliber and 4 against a bad team. It's like, okay, again, these guys if you're pointing towards the draft and future NFL prospect and all that, then these guys in the NFL that are averaging 11 tackles a game, they're getting 9 a game in reality, because when they're not getting 15, they're missing their average by 1. They're getting 8 or 9. You see what I'm saying? Or 10. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
And then, of course, when you got a team like the Jets, you have to take that into consideration, that an offense can be so bad that there's just literally nobody to tackle all day. I mean, what are you going to do? If that's when you say, what percentage of the team's tackles that day did he have? That's the number to look at in that case. If you want to if you want to rely on stats in the proper way and use them descriptively, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
Say, okay, well, if he only got 1 tackle, well, that's fine. Who got the most that game? And how many did he get? 4? You know what I mean? If they're playing such a bad offense,
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like this. I'm going to use another player that's going to be in this NFL draft along with Ruben Bain. That's Caden McDonald, the defensive lineman from Ohio State, right? You look at where he started and throughout the whole season, right? Even in the Miami game, this guy never had a game where he just had 1 tackle, right? It was 8 tackles, 3 tackles, 7 tackles, 3 tackles, 8 tackles, 4 tackles, 5 tackles. Even in the Miami game, he had 8 tackles, right? That's what I'm comparing him to. And if you were going to
CCRR, you're not supposed to be counting my rights for Ali too. Okay, that's not fair. Anyway, go ahead.
There were 37
I had to
tackles.
joke with the audience. You know me, bro.
Color. There were 37 tackles in that game by UM. He had 1.
Right. So yeah, I got you. I'm just reminding everybody about stats and how they can be misunderstood. Like in that case, like with Jordan Brooks, the example of getting 5 against the Jets. What percentage of the tackles was that?
Just to be clear to the Miami Hurricane fans, I'm not trying to bash on the U. I think you guys have a great defense. In fact, Steve looked at the rankings. What do they have? The number 4 defense or something like that? I want to say it's something really close. Number 5. I'm sorry. I was one off. They have number 5 defense. They have a hell of a defense. Don't get me wrong. And
That's
granted,
be our Achilles.
I just like to see more consistency, especially if you're a guy that's being rated that highly, right? So my issue is not with the University of Miami. I'm not bashing on the University of Miami. I'm just not a believer in Ruben Bain. That's Right now, hasn't shown me that he's that type of guy. If you're going to draft him top 5, he better be consistent from top to bottom, right?
Agreed. Otherwise, he's great, but no greater than Tyrell Dodson, who is great, but let's be real, is not quite Jordan Brooks. You know what I mean?
I don't know. He might be even average when we finally get to the NFL.
Right.
Who knows?
Well,
we don't even know.
yeah.
We don't even know. And the reality is, like, you know, if you're going to be considered a top 5 pick or even a top 10 pick, I'll say top 10 pick, that means you're a bona fide day 1 starter, in my opinion, right? When you get drafted that high.
Absolutely. Especially on defense, because it's
on defense.
So reactive anyway.
You need to be able to show that you can hold your own right from the get-go when you have that type of draft status. And if I'm looking at what you accomplished and I see long period of time where you're going only with 1 tackle in the game, right? That's kind of concerning because there's not enough consistency there. Right now, if I'm looking at a guy that averages, let's say 4 or 5 tackles a game, and then you look at a guy that only averages 2, who do you think's putting in more production?
Oh, the other thing too is if they're constantly running away from you all game, what's wrong with peeling off the double tackle and the double team and going over there? You know what I mean? Yeah. Right off the get, like in other words, front running it. You know,
I get you, but you know, it would be one thing if even in the games that you definitely 100% should beat. See, this is what counters your argument, Color. This is what I want to talk about. Real quickly, because I know we're going over the time that our show normally runs.
Record, I just countered my own argument. I was giving Mystic and Steve another little nugget they could use later. Like, why can't he just peel off the double team and go and front run the other side, the other hash mark? You know what I mean?
SMU, for example, right? SMU in the Louisville game, he had 1 or 2 tackles. I can't remember which one he had 2, but it was like 1 and 2, I think. If you go back and look at those games, right? How come against just as lesser talent, if not the same, how come they weren't able to do similar things and just run away from him? Why did he end up having 5 tackles in like the Pitt game? Why did he end up with like 6 or 7 tackles in that game?
Right.
They're no better than SMU, in my opinion. They're no better than some of these other teams. But he couldn't do that. It doesn't make sense. Why did one team figure it out, but the others didn't? That's why I think that I'm not. That's what's deterring me from being a believer in him.
Well, there is also a little bit of matchup issue going on here too, Ali. Because even with these small schools, I shouldn't say bad, because in their own right, you know, they're trying. They're you know, but they all have like. Every one of these, even small schools, has that Johnny football guy. Mm-hmm. It may not be their quarterback or even their best pass rusher. It might be their tight end.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And you look what were we talking about the other night?
Yeah.
The badass, you even named him something. You know, the badass tight end that Ole Miss had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That couldn't have something to do with it too. You know what I mean? Like,
what was it? Giant something.
Yeah.
That guy was massive. That guy was big. I can't think of his name.
I'm just calling him tight endatron now.
Yeah. All right.
He's the tight end version of Megatron.
Definitely. Let's get into we're gonna do bottom line, but we're gonna do our picks. All right, so we're gonna do our picks. We're gonna go around the room. We'll start off with Steve, and then I'll finish up. Steve, what do you think is gonna happen? What's your score prediction? Who are you picking to win the national? Be the 2025 national champions, right? Technically.
Oh man, I have been going back and forth in my head on this since UM won the game. Defenses win championships. That's the oldest and truest thing of football. Running the football and being able to run the football, control the clock, and play defense wins. If This is a close game. Miami pulls this game off, and that's what I'm going to go with. The defensive team, the University of Miami, is going to win the national championship.
Okay. What about you, Mystic?
You know, it's crazy. Is we view a team just because they score a high amount of points. We just assume that they're an offensive team. But then you look at the numbers that Mendoza has at times, and the dude's only throwing for 170 yards, but he throws for 5 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's because of special teams. I think that's because of defense. Their defense turns people over. They stop the run. They can run. Again, as I said time and time before, this team was told they can't do it. They're too small. They're not good enough. They shouldn't be. I got the Indiana Hoosiers winning their first ever national title, and Signetti putting himself as one of the best coaches in college football. And I got them winning 28-17.
So you think 28-17 Indiana is what you're going with?
Yes, sir.
Very interesting. I already know who you're picking, Color. Tell me what your score is.
Well, I mean, I have to. I mean, even if I thought that we couldn't beat Indiana, I mean, it's the first national championship appearance we've had in how many years, Ali?
What?
There's no way.
2002 or 2003?
Yeah, I'm going full homer here, bro. I have to. I mean, why?
No worries. No worries. Yeah.
I mean, but I can still give you a logical reason, a sound logical reason why the Hurricanes can pull this off. I was surprised to hear Steve take the Canes, but at the same time, I've noticed Steve kind of understands, like, kind of thinks similarly to me, and that take about defense is just too good to pass up. It's the same reason I have Houston and Seattle in the Super Bowl. So why am I going to go against my same philosophy now? However, our offense has to score, dude, because of the fact that what Mystic was saying about their coach, and, you know, like the way they do things and all that, and the 400,000 guys they can throw at you, Miami's conditioning will be tested more than it has yet. I'm hoping that we get a nice warm winter day, because it could be 80 degrees that night, which will favor the Hurricanes, whether you want to believe that stuff or not. It's precisely why we were able to beat Notre Dame, was raw conditioning. I'd argue in some ways, even on a neutral field, that may be how we overcame Ohio State. But I think that Indiana, I mean, to Notre Dame and Ohio State's credit, we shouldn't need that to beat them. You know what I mean? So they still came to play, and they still fought through that. And I mean, look, could have easily won those games. You know what I mean? And I think Indiana knows that. I think their coach knows that. I think their coach is going to be one of these types. If Mystic's right about his quality, he's going to be one of these types that knows how to defeat a good Hurricanes defense traditionally, because of the fact that we practice in this weather and we use it to our advantage if we can. The way we do that is through fast twitch, muscular motion. That means we're very agile, but it has a huge Achilles, a huge one that all these college schools have took advantage of us over the years, every single time in these big games. Penn State being one of them years and years and years ago. And that would be over pursuit. Indiana will settle down because of their coach They will run their game. They will be consistent, and they will take advantage of the defense over pursuit. Unless Cristobal can burn that into his defense's head this week. And they can hold their spots, contain the grass, don't take the cheese, and play consistent, sound defense. I think Steve's take would end up playing out. I'd like to take the same score since it worked that way last week, according to what Mystic said. He had the wrong team right score, so maybe I'll do that too. I'll go with the Hurricanes 28-17.
28-17.
Is that what your score was, Mystic? 28-17?
Yeah.
All right, we'll do this. We'll go inverse.
All right.
The anti-Mystic.
Okay. Well, there is something that you guys said that both Color and Steve, specifically Steve, said that is going to make a huge difference in this game, and that's defense, right? Defense is definitely going to make a difference in this game. For me, if somehow Cristobal is able to manage the game to keep it close, right? Kind of like how Ole Miss was playing. I think they have a shot. I think they absolutely have a shot. In fact, I think that's going to be their game plan. I think they're going to use the defense to keep this game as close as possible so freaking Carson Beck doesn't make any mistakes. And I think with the defense and with Carson Beck, not making any mistakes, it's going to be one hell of a close game. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. And I know this might be heated by some, but it's going to be belt to ass, and it's going to be the Hoosiers winning. I'm sorry. I can't hold it back. I tried to be nice, but I can't anymore.
I'm just going to call you Ali the Griswold.
The Cuban missile is going to be launching Scud, ballistic missiles into the end zone.
Why don't you go to Disney World?
It's going to happen, right?
Take your family to Disney World.
I don't care if he only has 170 yards. I don't care if he throws for 300 yards. Regardless, Indiana and Kurt Signetti are going to walk away with the national championship. I'm sorry, Hurricane fans.
Stick your family in that station wagon and drive to Disney World, bro.
I'm going to go to Disney World.
The Griswold.
I'm definitely going to go to Disney World afterwards. In fact, I might even go visit Steve and go to Busch Gardens instead, right?
I'll meet you there.
I'll meet you there, right? Because that's exactly what's going to happen, bro.
This ain't basketball.
You saw that game and how badly Indiana beat Oregon like they were nothing. And the one thing you can agree on, Color, because you've argued this till you were blue in the face, and other people have, it is extremely hard to beat the same team twice in a season.
Sure.
It's extremely hard, especially when one of those games is a playoff game. It's extremely hard to do that. And he did it with ease. And if you look at the way Kurt Signetti coaches, I'll even go ahead and say it. Though, and this is what's interesting, the Final Four, technically, they all have Nick Saban ties. I don't know if you guys knew that, but there was a lot of Nick Saban ties to these coaches and what coaching tree they come from, right? I'm going to go ahead and say it. I do agree with Mystic that we might be seeing a new dynasty made in Indiana, but I'm not going to compare Coach Signetti to Nick Saban. I'm going to compare him to someone else that everybody here, especially the Miami Dolphin fans that are in the audience, hate. And we don't want to see this man ever beat Don Shula's record. He coaches and he reminds me of Bill Belichick, to be honest. So if we're going to talk about dynasty, imagine Kurt Signetti being the next Bill Belichick. Watch out. But for me, I'm sorry. I just think with the quarterback that they have, how clutch he is, the style of offense they bring, and the intensity they bring at the defensive side, I think Miami's going to put up a good fight. But ultimately, I think that the Iceman is going to prevail. That's why I'm going with Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I'm wrong for you guys. If you guys win it, great. But I just think Indiana is going to be too much.
Well, it is what it is. I knew you were going to go there. What can I say? But I will say that, again, as I always like to point out, our expectation is so low. If we don't win this game, how's it different than any other Monday?
See, and I wanted to tell you this, Color.
But if Indiana loses this game, so you got that too. You got who's playing under the most pressure. Those ice cubes are going to be under the most heat they've been under in a long time, if ever. And I will say this about the blowout win last week, or the other, whatever, a couple days ago. We as Dolphin fans know what it feels like to wish you had some of those touchdowns the next week.
That's true.
All know what it feels like to drop 70 and then get embarrassed the very next week.
And I think Indiana fans are going to be sitting there going, man, I wish we had some of those touchdowns from last week.
Yeah, or not. I mean, you go from 35 to 3 1 week to 56 to what? 56 to 3 or something the next week.
You're right. They could have 50 more to put up, Mystic. You're absolutely right.
And here's the thing, Color. The one thing, like I mentioned earlier, and I think it was before you came in the show, Curt Cignetti coaches in a style that he doesn't smile or celebrate touchdowns. He looks at you and it's like, yeah, I've seen that before. It's not good enough. Do it again. Right. And I think they have with that type of philosophy of coaching. I think the Indiana players have bought into it because it just seems like every game you try to nitpick at something, they just get better. Right. Oh, they didn't they didn't score very many points. It was 13-10 against Ohio State. Look what they freaking did to Alabama. Right. Then look what they did to Oregon. And then look, it's every time they just seem to, right when you think you got them.
That's why I don't buy the, they only beat bad teams nonsense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't buy that either, to be honest.
I know exactly what we're facing. You know what I mean? Real quick, I mentioned it in the chat, but for those that aren't in the chat, for your listening audience, January 19th, I'm hoping we're going to have an 80-degree night, but because that's kind of the way the weather's been. But January 19th will be the 49th anniversary of the only snow in recorded history in Miami. It occurred on January 19th, 1977.
I'm glad you brought up the weather because Miami, Florida is warm and rainy, while Indiana is slightly colder with cloudy skies. They're saying that from what I heard, it might be like in the mid 70s for that game.
Well, we did have a front come through today, and we're supposed to get some Arctic air for the next couple days. Yeah, and so it'll probably be tailing off by then, which is right about that would be mid 70s or so. Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm thinking, around 70, 71.
And maybe a little dry.
Yeah, it might be. It might be. As promised, I said I was going to play this intro song that I made. I played.
I'm sorry, Ali. By the way, that weather report is AKA football weather.
That is true.
75 degrees and dry. Yeah, that's football weather.
Definitely. As promised to the audience, I said I'd play everybody's intro music. I have intro music. Steve does. Mystic does. I haven't played mine, but here goes.
Yeah. Cameras on. Stadium buzzing. They brought a Persian to the Big Ten problem. Yeah. Cameras on. Stadium buzzing. They brought a Persian to the Big Ten problem. Whoa. Walking right on my back, scarlet on my hat, they know where I'm at. I lead the Persian talk slick on the set, laugh in the mic, make the fan base sweat. Old school rug, new school flex, call out plays like I'm reading the text. From the 50-yard line to the tailgate smoke, I turn stats to shots, let the rivals choke. I lead the Persian, say my name when the beat start jerking. Bucket talk, got the whole room swerving. If you soft, change the channel, you nervous. I lead the Persian, big game vibes, whole squad lurking. Helmet shine and the trash talk burning. Every show, every week we working. White stripes on the field, that's runway lights. I make legends out of long shot nights. Saturday's war, I just tell that story. Turn field turf into fame and glory. Call it how I see it, straight cut, no filter. If you hail from the north, better brace for the blister. From the horseshoe seats to the couch at home, when you hear this voice, yo, ready? No. I need a high Persian. I need a high Persian.
What'd you guys think? I hope you guys liked it. Make sure you guys.
I don't know, but I think after this next war, they should install you as the American puppet president in Iran, bro. That's what they gotta do, bro.
Hey, yo.
And you should roll in. Your motorcade should be rolling in with that music, man.
I thought it was cool. I wanted to add some of my Persian side to me, a little bit to it. So I thought it was good. But it's a work in progress. It was
That shit was fire.
It was
Well done.
Definitely. But everybody hit the like button, please. We got over 80 some people, 88 people just watched the show. If you're on the X side, come over to YouTube, come to @4thand10U, look our channel up, follow and subscribe over there, hit the like button, right? Tell your friends, tell your kids, tell everybody. You can also find us on Spotify. You can listen to us there. This will give me a little bit. This episode will be posted on there as well. Put in the chat who you think is going to win. Put it in the comments if you're not watching this live. But thank you for everybody. We've had record-breaking views of our show lately. We were, I think the last show we had like 300 people watching. It was really, really good. So really appreciate everybody. But until next time, you all have a great night and go Hoosiers.